Hi guys, my name is Catherine and welcome to my channel, The Words of Catherine. Today I will be doing a little review video on the book Frostblood by Ellie Blake. This is my review video with spoilers, so heads up, I'm first going to give a little preview of the book, like just explain what it's about, and then I'm going to tell you when the spoilers will be impending upon this video. So yeah, let's go! The book Frostblood is about a girl named Ruby who is a fireblood, which means she can wield fire. And she lives in this kingdom where firebloods and frostbloods are enemies. And they live under the reign of Frost King, and yeah, that's kind of mostly what the book is about. And I'm going to just head into the spoiler section right now, so yeah, let's go into that. So bye non-spoiler people and hello spoiler people who've already read the books. And the book Frostblood begins in this, where Ruby is in her cabin with her mother. And when I started the book, I already had this feeling that I did not know where this was going. With not a single book, you know in the beginning where it is going, but with this book I had this in like a bad kind of feeling way. Suddenly, she's talking with her mother about how she can use her powers, and I was already thinking, oh no, this is quite cliche, she can't use her powers, she's the only fireblood in her village. And I was like, no, please, no, then don't let this go down like this. But it did went down like that. Like, her mother was like, the guards can't find you, you have to watch out. And what happens in the next few pages, the guards find her. Ruby is taken hostage and is brought to Black Creek prison, where she is locked up for 5 months before, I tell you, she's rescued by a monk and this dark warrior man with a hood. And he's like all cranky towards her, and you can already like start figuring things out from here. Like, you know somewhere in your mind they're gonna end up together, but you don't want them to end up together because it would be too cliche. Arcus, our beloved cranky sulking person, turns to love Ruby, and this is where I thought it was going to get really cliche. Like, there is no character relationship development whatsoever, and suddenly he tells her he loves her and she loves him. All of a sudden, well, there was no development between their two characters as they grew together, like, at all. Like, it was just so quick, and I felt this book was really rushed through. Like, there were such amazing aspects in it, but I don't think they were developed enough. Suddenly, Ruby was trying to run away, and I was like, why does she want to run away? Like, it's always like that. She doesn't have any valid point why she wants to run away. Oh no, people don't want me in this abbey. And I was like, alright, they don't want you in that abbey. Like, prove them why you do have value in the place where you are put by these monks who saved you from a prison instead of running off and nearly being captured again. Like, I would stay there and I would be like, y'all, look, I know you don't trust me, but let me show you you can trust me. But she ran off, she stole a horse. It was kind of cliche to me, and I really wanted to like this book. The idea of it, when first reading it, really seemed to me like, whoa, this is really cool. This could be very original, this could be so much, this could be such a great book. But then I started reading it and it wasn't. Like, the scenery also was just like, it could have been worked out a little better. You know, so Ruby falls in love with Arcus, and Arcus is like, oh, you're my little bundle of firewood, and I'm like, you were scolding her 30 pages back and nothing happened in between those 30 pages, and I'm like so confused at that point. Like, alright, a week passed and maybe in that week something happened, but show to us something happened in that week instead of suddenly making them kiss, making them go down on each other. Like, a feeling of repulsion towards Ruby because she really annoyed me at times. I'm like, no, stop doing what you're doing. And like, Arcus was a person I really liked in the beginning because he was cranky and he was like, I don't like you and I have my values and my opinions and I want to help people. And she was like, oh no, I'm a fireblood, I'm the only one left in the kingdom. And then suddenly he's like, oh no. Like, Arcus has so much points. He wants to save the kingdom, he wants to kill the Frost King, and suddenly he's like, I grew attached to you. I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, oh no, not again, not this, not out of everything you could do, please don't let the guy be like, I'm suddenly in love with you, and everything I ever believed in suddenly doesn't matter anymore because this girl is suddenly my only thing on my mind. And the aspect with the veins, that the fireblood had a red vein, the frostblood had a blue vein, and the blood was like bright red with the firebloods and bright blue with the frostbloods. I really liked that. and there could have been so much about it, like the history, like how Frostbloods and everything got divided and created really intrigued me and really interested me. Like, it had some cliche aspects. It was original, and I thought, yeah, if they go into this rightly, it can go so right, this book, and it could be so gravely amazing, but it did not do that, and it really saddened me. Like, I felt the book was really rushed through, which I did not like as much as I think it did. Like, I really finished it very quickly, and normally I'm a little bit slower with books because I can't concentrate myself, and this time I could concentrate because it was just situation. And what also bothered me was the dialogue between the characters. Like, when you read a book, you sometimes feel like, whoa, this character really speaks as if he could be standing next to me, but in this book there was like dialogue. This sentence was just put here because it can help further this relationship, or help further this situation, but not because the character itself said it, but because it was pushed upon them. They were obligated to say it. Like, it didn't come from their own voice, it seemed to me, and that really bothered me. We go through the end of the book, so like Ruby lives at the Abbey. She's like hated there. The Abbey catches fire. Everybody thinks, oh, she did it because she's a fireblood. No, this monk Lack did it because he doesn't like her, and he goes to brief the guards that she is at their up to everything I hoped it would be when I went to buy it, and it really saddens me. Like, see my frustration. It really was a great book, and it really could have turned out better than I thought it would be, but it didn't, and that really saddens me. And I do not hate this book, I do not. I actually like it, but at the same time I'm just kind of wary of it. Like, did that just all really happen? I have really high expectations for this, and I was thinking when I was going to film my review, am I going to say everything that's on my mind? And I was like, I can't lie about this, I just have to say my opinion on this book. Also, the author has such a rich voice for language. That's what I noticed. She really knows what she's writing and how she has to set down the world, but I think the cliches she used didn't really live up to the style she writes in. She has a really interesting style. Mind I tell you, she has a really interesting style, but the cliches clashed with the style, and then you are going to give more attention to the cliches, and the style kind of goes lost, but I didn't want the style to go lost, so I really paid attention to how things were written, how things were described, and she really tries to create a livid image of things, but then it turns cliche again, because things come along and you're like, no, I want to know the style and the book and everything together, but you start to see it as two separate things. I don't really want that. So Ruby goes from the Abbey, she's kidnapped, she's brought to the Frost King, and you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Well, she's put in these trials, and they already say a Frostblood has they already say a Fireblood has never won any championship for the Frostblood King. Plot twist, Ruby is the first Fireblood to win a championship. She wins all the other championships. Suddenly she's a child of darkness and a child who can destroy the Frost Throne, and I was like, I already knew this was going to happen, and even I didn't see it coming, but I did see it coming. One thing goes to another. Oh no, Arcus is killed when she was taken from the Abbey. All the monks were killed. She's so sad. This girl Morella tells her, you have to kill Cain. This is the man who killed your boy. And she's like, alright, I'm gonna kill him. Darkness nearly takes over Ruby, and she's about to kill Cain. Plot twist, it's Arcus. He takes off his mask. More plot twist, he's the old Frost King. Like, I was not surprised at all, but at the same time I was, but I wasn't. You know, it's really difficult to explain. Suddenly, the war breaks out because Arcus takes a claim on the throne and says, I am the true Frost King. And Ruby's like, she feels this darkness impend on her, and she's nearly going to kill Arcus again, but she's like, I have to get away from you. I have to kill the Frost Throne. I have to destroy the Frost Throne right now. So she runs for the Frost Throne. Plot with Rasmus, the current Frost King, suddenly is sitting on the throne. He tries to kill Morella because Morella loves Rasmus, the Frost King. Suddenly, Ruby helps Morella. She runs away. The current Frost King tries to kill her, but first he kisses her because plot twist, he suddenly has an attraction to the protagonist girl, who is suddenly the only Fireblood left in the kingdom and the one to destroy the throne and the Child of Darkness. And then Arcus comes in and she suddenly has this frost fire and she destroys the throne and Rasmus is killed and Arcus is the king, and that's kind of the story. It ends kissing Ruby and he has to go to his coronation, and I really thought I was going to love this book, but I did love it, but I didn't at the same time. Like, it was just a relaxed read. Like, I sit down, I read, I did not have anything else on my mind, and I didn't really have to make my mind work to understand everything. And at the same time I did, because sometimes things weren't explained as well as I wanted them to be explained, and then I was like, I have to think about this. I do not understand. Oh, I do understand, but at the same time I don't, and it was kind of difficult. What I also thought was that Ruby was suddenly portrayed as this weak girl, which I did not like as much, because suddenly she was strong, then she was weak, and the guys were like, no, you have to stay behind, you're weak. At the end of the book, Arcus was like, yeah, you have to stay down, you're like weak, and she was like, I find it kind of touching and it made me blush that he thought I was weak still, and I'm like, why do you think it's touching? If the guy thought me weak, I would already be facing off and telling him I'm not weak. Like, I kept bringing you down with my pinky. That's not true, but he doesn't know that. So I gave Frostblood by Ellie Blake 2 stars on Goodreads, and if you want to read this book, I recommend you do. And if the question is if I'm going to read the sequel, Fireblood, I will, because I'm one of those persons, when starting a series, I want to finish the series and I want to know how the story ends, because I'm really intrigued by storytelling and people who tell stories. And let me tell you, Ellie Blake is a really great writer. Like, you see, she has so much potential. The metaphor she uses, the way she describes things, the way she described the clothing, the atmosphere, like, that really got me breathless sometimes. Like, I really was like, whoa, this is so beautifully described. But I am going to read Fireblood. If you want to read Frostblood, I'm not going to hold you back. But because maybe you really are going to like this, because you're going to recognize things of other books you want to know, you want to see in other books too. So it really varies if you want to read it or not. I didn't hate it, I didn't like it as much, but at the same time I liked it. I give it 2 stars, and Ellie Blake is a great writer, that's what I know, but this book didn't really live up to the potential she has as a new author, because I have not yet heard of any other books from her, but she has a lot of potential. So Ellie Blake she's a good writer. I'm not going to deny any of that. Like, I'm pushing it out there. She's a good writer. So yeah, guys, that was my review of Frostblood by Ellie Blake. Have a nice day. Like, subscribe, comment, and see you in my next video. Bye everyone. Bye.